Welcome to a DK Custom Products video. My name's Kevin, this is Dwayne, and today we're going to be talking about oil cooler bypasses.
So recently we added a couple of new products to our lineup of parts that we offer, and they are the Jagg Oil Cooler Bypass valves. One's automatic, so it's just temperature controlled. The other is a manual bypass. And Kevin's going to talk to you today about the differences of those and the benefits of those and who actually needs them, because the vast majority of us and you guys watching that have an oil cooler are not going to need this.
A few things I want to address is that we've been having Jagg oil coolers on our website almost since day one.
Right.
Jagg makes the best oil coolers. They've made these bypasses all along. We've never had them on our website because we don't put stuff on our website that we don't run on our own bikes. So we've just never put these on there. Not that there's anything wrong with them.
No.
They just didn't fall into our parameters. But we had enough people ask about them that even though we don't run them on our own bikes, we did go ahead and put them on the website because we know that they're a good product.
Right.
And there are people who will benefit from them. The coldest it gets here where we are is, in the 30s. Every now and then it might dip down into the teens, but most people don't even ride around here if it's not, 50, 60 degrees or warmer?
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many months in a row when the temperature's been in the 40s, when I was riding to work every day, I would go months and not see another bike on the road.
Right.
People just don't ride in the cool weather. So if you're not in cool weather, if you're always in warm weather, a twin cam and a Milwaukee 8, they're going to get hot, too hot for their own good, very quickly.
Right.
You don't need to choke off the oil cooler.
Right.
But when people are riding, and you might think it's crazy, but there's people who do it. People riding regularly in 20 degree temps, 10 degree temps, even 0 or 30 degrees, and they just ride in that kind of weather, and they think that their bike, which we don't know, but they think that their bike's never going to fully warm up if the oil cooler is cooling down the oil.
Right, because this bypass it's fully open at 195 degrees.
Right.
Like, it takes a Christmas miracle for a Harley oil temp to be 195 degrees.
Or lower.
Or lower, yeah.
Right. But, and we've not done any testing. We don't know. We have not gone out in 20 degree weather and ridden without an oil cooler, with the oil cooler shut off or oil wasn't passing through it, and then did the same ride in the same temperature with the oil cooler open, to see what the difference is. We just haven't done it because it's just not something that we've done. Now, I will tell you who would really benefit from this a lot, who does not ride in cold weather, and that's the guys who are most of their rides are 45 minutes or less. A bike, whether it's a Sporty Evolution, whether it's an Evo, whether it's a twin cam, whether it's a Milwaukee 8, that bike is not fully warmed up until 45 to 60 minutes of riding. So and you want it to fully warm up because you want it to burn off the condensation that normally occurs in an engine every time you shut it off.
Right.
So people where the majority of their riding is under 45 minutes, but they have an oil cooler because it either came from the factory with an oil cooler, or there are times when they go on long trips or in hot weather and they need an oil cooler. But for all those short trips, just turn it off. Or turn it off with the manual, or just have the automatic, only open it up when it gets too warm.
And you mentioned bikes that may have a factory oil cooler. They don't have the bypass. They just have an oil cooler out front, like a late model Street Glide, for example. Now, many people benefit by adding an additional or an auxiliary oil cooler. Well, there may be situations where you don't need that additional cooling, so this would come in perfectly for an individual running multiple oil coolers, because the chances are there's not going to be a detriment to running one single cooler. Unless you're again, this is our opinion, we haven't done any testing, but you got to be riding some pretty damn cold weather for that accelerated wear over time to be an issue. So this isn't a one-time fix thing. This is for individuals that are often in that colder weather where accelerated wear over time can become an issue. Mm-hmm. So keeping that oil temperature at the universal optimal range of 195 to 220 degrees, whereas, the factory manual will tell you 230 degrees is normal. But, it's a golden rule for automobiles, for combustion engines, 195, 220. So, man, like I said earlier, you'd be hard pressed, regardless of the ambient temperature, to see oil temps below 195. And if it's below 195, the bypass would come in clutch. It would cut off the oil cooler.
So there's an automatic.
Mm-hmm.
Starts opening at 185 degrees, oil temp, fully open at 195. Then there's a manual that you actually turn. You got to remember to turn it.
Yeah.
Okay. To let the oil go through the cooler or bypass the cooler. And it's just whenever you turn it, it's going to do that. You know what I'm remembering now? Back about 22 years ago, I did have one of these on a Sportster. I had an oil cooler on there. They don't come factory with an oil cooler.
Right.
I had an oil cooler on there, and I did put one of these manual ones on there. And you know what? I opened it, and I never closed it.
and something else to take note of is if you get a complete Jagg Oil Cooler kit, for most of those kits, there is an embedded temperature control.
This. If you're getting a complete kit, you do not need this. But this will work with any oil cooler. So you might have an oil cooler that isn't thermostatically controlled.
Right.
So this is a nice add-on feature, or if you're doing a secondary cooler.
Right, and the barbs are the standard 3/8, which universally that's what size hose most oil cooler kits, Ultra Cool, Jag, they all use the 3/8.
So we have a link to these products in the description below, and if you think it's something that you'd like to have just because, or because you really think it's a need, check them out at the link below.
Right, but plan accordingly, because these are about 3 inches tall, and you need 1 inch to 1.5 inches of hose length between this and the cooler to get it, installed.
Right.
So, plan accordingly.
Yeah, and you need to have 3 inches of straight hose, because one end of the you're going to cut the hose in the middle of that 3-inch straight section and put one end on here and the other end on there.
Right, yeah, you don't want it barb to barb.
Yeah.
So if you have questions about getting your hands on one of these, leave us a comment below. We'd be happy to link you to our website. Check the description below. You'll find the links there. Or shoot us an email, support@dkcustomproducts.com. Or as always, if you have questions that you want to talk about, do not hesitate to give us a call, 662-252-8828. We have an entire customer service team ready to help you out.
Y'all ride safe out there.